Hello, my name is Matt Cash, lymphedema therapist with Lilly Clinic in Roanoke, Virginia, and welcome to episode 7 of Lilly Pod, all things lymphedema. And today we are graced with, in my opinion, a phenomenal human being who, full disclosure, is also my patient. I've been working with her for about 4 to 6 weeks. I don't know off the top of my head, but she's made incredible progress. Her name is Miss Lippy. She could identify herself differently if she so chooses when she introduces herself. But Miss Lippy has lipedema, lymphedema, and venous insufficiency. In her case, this is known as lymphedema. That is a mouthful. But what we're focusing on is her lymphedema really associated with the lipedema part. And lipedema is commonly associated with lymphedema. It doesn't have to be. But it's something that I see a lot in clinic. It's a lot that a lot of lymphedema therapists do see and work with. And I feel like we made great progress with Miss Lippy so far. And we're here because she's going to tell her story about her journey with acquiring lipedema throughout her life, what that journey was like, what her treatment history has been like, and where she's at today. First, I'd like to define what lipedema is. I think that's important. There's a great organization called lipedema.org. I highly recommend people go there for more information. And according to lipedema.org, lipedema is a chronic medical condition that primarily affects women, characterized by bilateral symmetric buildup of adipose tissue, fat cells, in the legs and sometimes the arms and lower trunk. A common but under-recognized disorder. Lipedema may cause pain, tenderness, swelling, and easy bruising. It may be accompanied by an unusual nodule and or fibrotic texture within the fat that can feel like rice, peas, or even walnuts underneath the surface of the skin. The intensity of pain may range from none to severe, and its frequency may be consistent, intermittent, or only occur when the fat is palpated. Can't talk today, apparently. Limited public awareness of lipedema coupled with few research-backed treatments can lead to an exacerbation of symptoms as well as physical and emotional distress. I want to read that last sentence again because it's very important, and this is why we're doing exactly what we're doing. Limited public awareness of lipedema coupled with few research-backed treatments can lead to exacerbation of symptoms as well as physical and emotional distress. Here's a statistic. According to Cleveland Clinic, researchers estimate that 1 in 72,000 people have lipedema. It also goes on to say this number is probably low because lipedema can look like obesity or lymphedema. Another global estimate says 11% of females have lipedema, and the condition is rare in males. So if we think 1 in 72,000, according to Cleveland Clinic, and then 11% of females from another thing, we have no idea how many people are actually suffering with this condition because, as lipedema.org says, there is not a lot of research, and if we're not doing research, we don't know. We need to spread the awareness. So Miss Lippy has been amazingly gracious enough to come on Lilly Pod to tell her story. And Miss Lippy, please introduce yourself.
Good afternoon. I am Miss Lippy. You can also call me Michelle. I feel like with the group that has been following Matt and I along this process that we've become friends. Great support group, which is exactly what I needed, and I think everyone needs.
Yeah, this condition for sure, and my experience as being a lymphedema therapist for almost 9 years now, I have worked with lipedema patients most of the time. That I seem to always have 1 or 2 on my caseload, and you are not alone. And you're certainly not alone with the feelings of isolation, and that needs to change. So let's start at the beginning. What did you first notice as, I'm assuming probably as a young girl, maybe in puberty, because that seems to be the research that I understand is when it starts. So how did it progress? What age did you start noticing? What did that look like for you?
So initially, I would say probably around 7th grade when, you start having pool parties and looking at boys and just doing the normal things that kids do as they grow up. Um, I was always larger than the other girls anyway, but I was not obese. But around 7th grade, my legs started getting more flabby. Um, Almost like, when you think of thunder thighs, that is what I would think of myself. Um, that was starting in the 7th grade. And I just knew that my body was different than all of my friends' bodies. I had the little waist, the big hips, and the big legs, and no one else had that.
Yeah. So you've been very, as I said, gracious for allowing yourself to be a part of this awareness campaign, and as part of that, we've made a few videos that are both on YouTube as well as Lily Clinic's Facebook group that actually shows your texture, the skin, and having worked with you, I feel like there's things that I could say that I might not normally just say about somebody, but she has stage 4 lipedema. And what that means is her lipedema has gotten to the point that has now created lymphedema. So now she has 2 components. And she has classic cuffing at the ankles. So your texture is very soft in the skin. And it comes down almost like a telephone pole or like a column, straight down to the ankle, and then you have this cuff of skin kind of folds up underneath, and then you have the bottom of your ankle and your foot, which is relatively spared a little bit, except for the swelling from the lymphedema. But just to help people understand, your texture in your skin is, if you're walking and you stop suddenly, your calf will continue to move like it's jello. Was that a fair statement?
That is correct. We used to walk. I was in a walking group with my mom, my sister, and I would always tell them that when I stopped, I said, I feel like my legs are still walking, like they are still moving. And so that is an accurate description.
How does that feel physically?
It's very uncomfortable. It feels like your calf is going to shift onto the front of your leg, and then it just smacks back really fast.
Do you feel like it's hard to ask certain questions because it's been your life, right? So it's like me trying to put myself in your skin and then you trying to put yourself in my skin. It's really hard to do, but and having worked with you and kind of knowing your texture and the amazing things that you've accomplished, which we're going to get there because you have done absolutely amazing things. But do you feel like you're just wearing somebody else's skin, like a suit almost?
Almost. When I think of myself, I don't think that my legs are big, but then when I look in the mirror, I'm like, wow, they were huge when I first came in here. I wish I could live in someone else's skin sometimes, but you have to learn to love yourself and realize you're just one of the lucky ones that got this.
It's a hell of a way to look at it, in a good way.
And you have to keep looking for the right people to help you. Don't stop, because I knew 20 plus years ago that there was something wrong. My primary doctor at that time gave me a fluid pill. It did nothing. I have seen multiple therapists. No one has ever helped me. No one has ever explained it to me clearly until, I came to see you. So don't stop. Keep going until you find someone that is going to get on your level and explain to you what is going on with your body.
So before you had a diagnosis, and a better understanding of what was going on, or even just before you had a what age were you diagnosed?
I was in my mid-30s when they finally said this is lipedema.
Can I ask how old you are now?
I'm 53.
So it took 19 years. Did I do the math right? 19 years. You've had the diagnosis for 19 years. but you haven't had good treatment
No, no,
in those 2 decades, essentially.
correct.
How did, before even the diagnosis, how are you dealing with these physical changes? You look around at your peers, you mentioned like 7th, 8th grade. That is, I remember being in 7th and 8th grade, and that is a brutal, brutal time to be a teenager, because your body's changing so dramatically for everybody. And insecurities, I mean, I know for myself, your voice cracks, or you have a big pimple, or you stink, you know what I mean? Like that puberty phase is not easy for anybody. How did you cope with that? How did you get through that period of life?
I remember like late middle school. Um, that was okay. That summer between middle school and high school was the biggest changes. High school was hard because I never felt like I fit in. Gym class was awful because at that point, we still had to wear the gym suits, and then we would have to take a shower before we could go back to class. So that was really, really hard. I think when kids are going through that, they think everyone's looking at them. And then as you get to be an adult, you're like, they probably didn't even notice. Not the way I felt like they were noticing. I don't really think I coped with it at all until probably within the last year. I'm just like, this is it. I have lived half of my life with this, trying to hide it, not wearing shorts, not wearing capris, wearing long dresses. Could barely walk across the floor because my calves were hitting each other, or the inside of my legs were hitting each other. And finally, I'm just like, I have got to do something. My family was like, let's take you to the Mayo Clinic. Let's do something, because somebody has to help you.
So it sounds like you had a lot of support from family.
I do.
Did you go to the Mayo Clinic?
I did not. I found you, so I'm gonna stick with you.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
When did you first realize that there is something that could be done about this? Like, how long has that been?
Well, this is the funny thing. Okay, in my 30s, that was when I found lipedema.org, just searching, like, what in the world is wrong with my legs? So I found lipedema.org, found their little brochure, and I'm like, I could be that person in that brochure. So that was like mid-30s. My PCP at that time had never even heard of lipedema, was not willing to even entertain the thought of it. So I'm like, I'm finding a new doctor, because I know in my heart of hearts, this is what it is. I had every symptom, every classic sign. So the next person I saw as a physician, she was like, I've never heard of it, but I will learn about it. So she at least was able or willing to learn. She is the one who has sent me to multiple therapists because I was not satisfied. And I was at that point where I'm just not going to put up with this anymore. Healthcare needs to catch up.
I obviously wholeheartedly agree with that. And you said something that I've kind of suggested on some of the content I put out there, which is, if you're not getting the healthcare from your provider and something's wrong and you're being dismissed, or they're providing treatment that has no impact, find another doctor. If you go to a restaurant and you have a bad experience, you're probably not going to go back to that restaurant. That's just, we do this in all aspects of our life. If we're not getting what we need and require, we should go elsewhere. And that should also be in healthcare, because this is fully my opinion, but I feel like if we want to change healthcare, if we want to change this situation, then it has to start at the bottom and work its way up, because there's associations. There's the Lymphology Association North America. There's lipedema.org. There's a lot of associations, and there you have to assume that they're at the top, and they're not putting a dent in any of this awareness, it seems like. So I feel like if people like do exactly what you did and said, you know what, this provider is not even willing to look it up, then that's not my provider. Because we live in a capitalist society, which means we should put our business to places that are treating us the way we want to be treated or what we deserve. And if we're not getting that, we need to go elsewhere. And that hopefully will change the tide, I hope.
Yes.
Where doctors are like, well, you know what, there is a problem and I need to learn about it. And the other thing that needs to happen is medical schools need to get on board and start educating physicians to be in both lymphedema, as well as venous insufficiency and how that leads to lymphedema. So I applaud you for doing what you need to do to take care of your health by changing your provider.
Yes. And I do think that speaking out, if I could just help one lady, woman or man in their early 20s that realizes, hey, something is wrong with my legs, do not put it off. Go until you find someone that is going to listen, is going to help you, because you do not want to get to stage 4. If I had done this when I was at stage 1, I probably could have stopped it at that point. And it may have progressed, but I don't think it would have progressed to this level. So I wholeheartedly agree that the wraps, the compression, it all sucks. Anyone that says it doesn't, I'm like, tell me why you don't think it sucks, because I really do think it sucks. But it is what it is. I mean, you think about people that have lost a limb. I mean, they have to wear the prosthetic or walk with crutch. So it is what it is. And the sooner you realize that and find help, the better off you're going to be. And then once you find that help, don't stop, because I've done that as well. I'm like, I don't need that. I don't need to do that. It's going to be fine. And then, you wake up 6 months later and you're like, oh my God, my leg looks awful. So
I usually, I find myself often when I'm one-on-one with patients talking, when they start saying, do I really have to be bandaged? Do I really need to wear compression? I really need to do this. And my go-to example is like, look, nobody wants to stab themselves to check their blood sugar.
Right.
But if you have diabetes, you need to know what your blood sugar is. At least you should. And if you don't, and you're not managing that, bad things are going to happen.
Yep.
So if you do what you're required for that, just like you do what you're required for lymphedema, then you don't have the severities. And I agree with you. I feel like if you were educated in time and knew what to do, you probably never would have developed lymphedema as part of the lipedema, because you would have been supporting those structures that needed support at that time.
Yeah.
When did you first, so you were diagnosed at, you said 34.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
When did you first make it into a therapy place?
So probably early 40s. That was my first stint. Initially, I thought that it was going to be very helpful. When they did wrap me, we could see a little bit of decrease, but it was not dramatic. When I received my compression stockings, they did not fit. I understand that I'm a hard person to measure, because the difference between my foot and my calf was tremendous. I understand how difficult it was to wrap. To measure. But if you send a garment back 3 times and it is still not right, I was at the point where I'm like, I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm sick of fooling with this. I went back to the therapist. They did the same thing, but never decompressed me before they measured. And, I have always thought, I'm like, why are they not making me smaller before they measure me? Because they're just going to put this on and it's going to stay the same size. So that was the first therapist. The second therapist was in that same clinic, but it was a different person. Pretty much the same outcome. The stockings never worked. I think they really got sick of me because I kept calling and saying, this is not right. And I just felt like I was being brushed off. The next therapist I went to, no manual well, she did do manual drainage, so-called. Um, nothing, nothing helped. She did not wrap me. She did send me to somewhere else to be measured. Again, they did not fit. Those were actually like the foot of the right one was on the back of my calf when I put them on the first time. So, I mean, I take part of the blame in this too, because at that point should not have given up. I should have just been like, I've got to keep going. But I mean, I think I'm a human being, and everybody gets to that point where they're like, nobody is ever going to help me with this. I'm just going to give up. So that has been my prior two experiences. Once I came here, completely different treatment, which I greatly appreciate.
So I often, obviously I see people every day. I get new people every day that I'm evaluating, and I hear the same stories, and that's probably what's driven my desire to really push the awareness thing, because I'm tired of hearing that story. It's a story that shouldn't be told as frequently as it is. You shouldn't be diagnosed at 34 and then get to a therapist in your 40s. Like that's ridiculous. And that's not unique to you. And that's the point of this. That's not unique to you. That is common amongst the population. Lipedema, lymphedema, both. And then do you know if you were with any certified lymphedema therapists, or were you with therapists that were just kind of, because there's a range of education when it comes to whether they have certain educations versus they don't have certain educations. And then there's therapists that are just trying to do the best that they can to help people. And I'm certainly not going after these people, because we need a lot of people to help. We need people to be up to speed with treatment protocols. But do you know if you worked with anybody that was a certified therapist, or like what was?
I do not know if she was certified or not. She did tell me that she had training, but I do not know if she was certified.
Yeah, I know of facilities that would rather, I call it the telephone game training, where they have somebody who's trained be a trainer, and then they train, and then they train, and then things get lost along the way. I've seen that in my own experience in clinics. In my opinion, I think it's vital that every lymphedema therapist actually go and take the course themselves, which is time consuming and is expensive. It is, but it's, I think, required. How did you end up at Lilly Clinic?
So scrolling Facebook one day, I see this guy pop up, and he's talking about lymphedema and just about like the lymph system. And I was like, I was very intrigued, but also skeptical, because I'm like, I'm not going to jump on the bandwagon yet. So watched a couple of videos, and then I was like showing my family. I'm like, look at this guy that I found. I was like, I think I'm going to get a referral to him. Worst case, he does the same thing everyone else has done. So that is how I found you, was through Facebook.
Through my Facebook videos. Well, God bless you for that. What I want to say to everybody out there is, one, I told her not to turn this into a Lilly Clinic commercial. She said she's going to say something, and that's her prerogative. I am only doing what I've been trained to do. That's it. I became a certified lymphedema therapist. I took the Lymphology Association North America exam. I passed that. Proves my understanding of what I learned in the school, and I practice what I learned, and I practice what I learn along the way at conferences and things. So I'm just doing what I'm trained to do. I told a patient earlier today, I said I pointed to the papers on the wall that say I have this sort of stuff, and I said put the information in my brain, and then I just throw it up at people. All I am is a vessel that's just giving information. I did not come up with any of these strategies. I can't take credit for any of this. I'm just doing what I'm trained. But with that said, I have done complete decongestive therapy on you.
Yes.
On you. And Tell the people what that experience was like for you.
I have had
And
other.
before you start, I want you to be 100% honest. 100%. You're not going to hurt my feelings if you don't like certain things, anything like. I want your experience.
So I've had other therapists say that they've done decongestion, but they have not. I like the fact that you explain things. No one has ever explained to me the lymphatic system. No one has ever explained to me the sequence that things should be done and the reason behind it being done. I was given a pump previously, no explanation of it. It was sent to my house, and there you go, figure it out. So, as far as like the process of the lymph drainage, it's actually a simple process. I don't understand why people have had so much trouble explaining it, because it's very simple. No pain is involved. I'm at a loss because I don't understand why other therapists have not done the same thing.
How has with the bandaging, so I'll help kind of fill in the gaps a little bit. I am not using ACE bandage. I'm not using Coban. I am using short stretch bandages, which are 100% cotton. There is no elastic. And I'm not going to get into the nitty gritty, but that is what is required to move fluid into the lymphatic system and out. Static compression, such as a long stretch, which is that ACE bandage, or Coban, which is the stuff they put around your arm after you give blood. That is not ideal for people with lymphedema, and it doesn't work as well. It's also extremely painful, especially for people with lipedema. How have your legs changed since I started to implement short stretch bandages?
Okay, so one thing prior to telling you how they've changed. No one ever explained to me the difference between short stretch and just an ACE bandage. Never. So I appreciate that as well. When I came in, my legs literally looked like tree stumps. I mean, they did. You can go to the Lilly Clinic page and you can see the videos, and I am not exaggerating. So we wrapped, I believe it was for 2 weeks. I came every other day. When we did the first measurement, I had lost 10 inches from my left leg.
On the ankle.
10 inches. And I mean, every measurement was smaller, but the 10 inches was like, oh my gosh, because that was one of my main problem areas. It looked like a balloon hanging off the side of my leg. And every day, the longer I was up, the bigger it was getting. So now, since it has gone down, I have all this extra skin there, which still shows you how large it was. But I will say the skin does seem to be getting some of its elasticity back, like you said it would. So I'm encouraged with that. It's just amazing. And I had lost 25 pounds of fluid from the first day until the last day when you took the measurements. So that's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, walking around with an extra 25 pounds in your legs has got to be, I mean, I can't imagine. I don't know. I don't know what it is. I'm not going to pretend I have no idea. How has your skin changed?
My skin is not as sensitive. I still have areas that are sensitive, and I think I always will. But initially, I mean, it hurt to just like brush against my leg. Now that is gone. I still have some of the deep pains, but I think I'm always going to have that. But overall, amazing. Such a difference.
So one thing that you have mentioned to me, and I think it's important for people with lipedema to also understand, is lipedema is associated with pain. And you said the first time that I bandaged your legs, it hurt. Explain that a little bit.
So the bandages were rubbing the skin, and my legs were so sensitive that it felt like razor blades. I believe the first night I stood it, but then the second time you wrapped it, I had to take it off because it felt like razor blades were cutting through my legs.
Did I get mad at you?
Excuse me. No, you did not
No.
at all.
The reason why, and the reason why I think this is important to talk about, is because I'm not going to say in every case, but in a lot of cases with lipedema, you could desensitize that sensitivity, and the wrapping and also the use of a pump, which we'll get to as well, helps the desensitization. So she was able to tolerate the first time. She had to take it off the second time. She came back. Some of the swelling came back, but not all of it. We did it again, right? And I said, if you take it off, because the goal at that point was to desensitize what you were feeling so you could leave them on longer over time and have the desired outcome. Would you say that is that what happened?
That is 100% what happened. The longer I had them on, the more the swelling came down, the pain became less because the inflammation was less. I mean, it's really an easy plan to follow, just cumbersome, but very easy to follow.
So once you were reduced, and if people are just listening to this and they're kind of curious, there's a video about this too on the Lily Clinic Facebook page. There's 3 videos of you getting measured for your custom knee-high garments. Explain how that was for you.
Okay, so my sister went with me to my first measurement, and I mean, it took maybe 5 minutes for the ladies to measure my legs. When she saw the video of how you measured me, she was like, OMG. She was like, it looks like y'all are playing a game of Twister. She said that. She got tickled. I have never, ever been measured that way. And I am 100% convinced when I get those compression hose, they are going to fit correctly. I mean, I have no doubt in my mind.
I certainly hope so.
But I also know that if they don't, you are going to make sure that we get it right. So that makes a big difference.
We will get it. We will get it right. And we're waiting for those to arrive. So that's, maybe we'll do another update later, maybe a video, show a picture of you wearing them. But, you know, in that video, the comments on it, there were a few that I loved because they were from other therapists.
Yes.
And talking about how they've also tummy crawled on the floor in between patients' legs, because that's what you have to do. And the other thing about that, which I think, if there's, for anybody out there, I know my limitations, and the texture of your skin is so soft. And like you mentioned before, the cuff at the ankle is a very difficult thing to consider when you're measuring for compression garments. I didn't feel comfortable doing it. And this had nothing to do with your past experience, because honestly, I learned more about your past experience with garments just now than I knew. But I reached out to the manufacturer, who happened to be Medi, which is the poster above your head, I just realized. And I reached out to one of their fitters, and Melissa, and she zoomed in and she helped guide me through those measurements, because I knew if I did it, they weren't going to be right. So it's okay to not know everything. It's okay to ask for help as a therapist. It's better for the patient.
Yes.
It's also better for me, because I'm going to learn something and not pretend to know something, because that's always dangerous. I'm anxious to see these garments come in, because there were a lot of nuances, and you could see it all in that video, of how to measure for someone for knee highs, which is really typically fairly easy to do until you have more of a complication such as your lipedema.
So one pair of stockings that I did receive in the past, I kept telling them, I'm like, they're not long enough, because they were coming barely above like where my calf stopped. I'm like, these are not long enough. And so they just added a couple inches to the top. So you can imagine what that did to the back of my knee, the side of my leg. So I just didn't wear them, but yeah. And
And
I think it's wonderful too how all of the therapists on the page, you guys like interact with one another and talk and learn from one another. And anybody that's in an area where one of those people are, that's the people like that are the people that you need to look for, because they are trying to make it right and make it aware, make everyone aware.
there are a lot of resources available to both patients and clinicians. Like I said, the manufacturers, whether it's Medi, Juzo, Jobst, Sigvaris, Alta Medical, Eleanor, they want their garments to be effective, and they're going to want to help you, because if it doesn't work, it makes it seem like their product isn't good. And all of their products are good. All these companies make good products. It's where things get messed up is the measuring and the understanding of how to measure. And that's why a lot of these manufacturers have expert fitters that you could tap into to get through that problem solving situation and get a garment that will be effective. You recently got your new sequential pneumatic compression device, which is also known as a lymphedema pump. How did that process go of getting the pump? You've had it, I think, for about a week. So tell me what that's been like for you. And what is your pump?
So I had that.
Not the maker, but is it like, what's it look like?
Okay. I have a pump that just does the legs. It's super easy to get. Like, the lady brought it to my house, set it up. She said, "This is what you need to do." We went through maybe 15 minutes making sure that it was going to deflate the right way. Explained everything, left me a card. If you have questions, give me a call. It wasn't sent to my house in the mail, put it on. Plus, these are zip up. My other pair are Velcro, and I'm just not talking about one or two Velcro straps, multiple Velcro straps. It literally takes two people to get into it. So much simpler. Love it. Cannot express that enough. It's like putting on a waders to go fishing, basically.
And that's something that's important. I really want people to kind of understand is you have to understand that pump companies, garment companies, they are sales. They're trying to sell their product. Therapists shouldn't be about the sales necessarily. It should be about the patient, what's best for the patient. I work with multiple pump companies based on the individual's need. And what you described, like having the zipper, for some people is a whole lot easier than Velcro, or no Velcro and no zipper where you have to slide it on your leg. So every company offers different types of sleeves that are good for certain people and maybe not good for other people. So there's a range of options. And I think it's imperative that the therapist understand that there's a lot of companies that make really great products. For example, Lymphopress makes the Lymphopod. I've put people that very obese people, that is amazing for them. It's easier for them to get on, in my opinion, get into than anything else, like a sleeping bag with a zipper. Your pump comes from Eros Medical. They work with a nonprofit called Connie Cares. I like to use them because I know that you're going to get your pump, and I know it's not going to, did it cost you anything?
It did not cost me one penny.
Right.
And she said, if you get an EOB saying that you owe, you do not owe it.
Right. So Connie Cares works with Eros Medical. They also work with Medi, the Brio pump. And you don't have to pay your copay. As long as you qualify, you will get your pump. So there's a lot of different options out there. And people need to be aware that there's, sometimes you want to go to Burger King. Sometimes you want to go to McDonald's. I don't know. There's options, and options are, that's a terrible example. I'm sorry. We talked about fast food earlier. That's probably what's in my head.
We did.
So how has it been? Have you've been using it regularly? Today we went over your self-manual lymphatic drainage with it, but over the past week, what have you noticed with using that device, other than the ease of getting it on and all that, but physically, okay, what have you noticed? Anything?
So I'm going to go back a little bit before the pump as well. When I first came to you, I felt like I could barely make it across the floor because I felt so bad. Sluggish, no energy. Completely different now. My mom even made the comment yesterday. She's like, "You look like you feel so much better." She said, "You act like yourself. You're smiling again. I'm so glad that you are finally starting to feel better. But for the pump specifically, I have these problem areas at my knees that, I want to just like get rid of, which I know I can't, but another story. So I do know that with the pump, it has made that area come down. I'm anxious to see exactly how much it will go down the more I use it.
I think we froze. Are you
I think
there?
we did too. Can you see me now?
Yeah, we're not froze anymore.
Okay.
So we heard up until the obviously you're looking better, you're feeling better.
Yes.
Your mom made a comment of that, and then you want to get rid of that excess adipose tissue on top of your knee.
Yes.
We talked about that earlier today. So what was the rest of that experience?
Since using the pump, I do think that it has helped because it doesn't feel as tight as it did, and it looks a little smaller to me, but that could just be me hoping. But I mean, I'm really anxious to see, like, after using it a month, what difference I'm going to see. I mean, you said today when you measured me, it was smaller. Every measurement was a little smaller. So very excited. Also very excited. I mean, my husband is even like, your legs look amazing. This is the first time in 20 years I've been able to feel my ankle on my left leg. So that right there is a testimony. It works.
I mean, the therapy works. It does when it's done correctly. So you've gone through this process. We're not done with therapy. We're waiting on the garments, and we're in that time, that waiting time period. But I know, because I see it, you tell me it, but emotionally, what has changed in the past month for you?
So I have been in a very dark place for a while. I felt like, you feel like you're in it alone. You feel like there's no one else with it because normally you don't see other people with it. Joining the Facebook groups, getting to talk to people that are going through this, it does help. I do feel like, it is something I'm going to have to deal with. And I'm still going to have days. I still do have days where I'm like, why do I have to go through this? But overall, I feel much better. I have not had a pair of shorts on in probably 30 years. So the weekend before last, we were moving some furniture and taking it to my sister's house, and I had on my compression, but I had a pair of shorts on. And when I got to her house, she's like, "Oh my gosh, I cannot believe you have shorts on." So, I feel like finally talking about it and not acting like, I'm like some hideous looking creature, has helped. Just talking about it and letting people know this is what I have. You may not can see it on the outside because I do a really good job of hiding it, but it's a lot going on the inside. But just, talk to people about it. Don't be ashamed. And don't think it's you. It's something that you've done. And for years, I thought that because the doctors were like, you need to lose weight. You need to lose weight. Well, I do need to lose some weight. I'm in the process of that. But 20 years ago, I lost 100 pounds. My legs did not change one bit. So that right there tells you that it is not a weight issue. And it really is a pain issue as well. Definitely.
So, you're not hideous by any means.
Well, that's how you feel.
Yeah, you are beautiful inside and out for sure. Absolutely.
Thank you.
You don't need to hear that from me, but that's truly what I think.
Thank you.
So that's heavy, right? You got me
Mhm.
tearing up a little bit. It's not hard to do. But you did it. So like, you're here. You just said you felt hideous at one point in time. And now you're here sharing your story on a podcast. You're letting me videotape to put out on the Lily Clinic Facebook page, because my hope is to increase awareness so people that have what you have don't have to have the same experience, and it's certainly not the timeline that you've had.
Yes.
But why are you doing this?
I think that when I finally connected with you as a therapist that listened to me, it was just a little spark in me that was like, I have finally got someone that is listening and they know what I'm going through. And I just latched on and it's like, okay, I'm here for the ride. Let's see what we can do to help me feel better, but to also help other people. Because I am 100% sure there are young girls out there thinking, how am I going to live with this? There is something wrong, and how am I going to live with it? And we need more awareness. Bottom line, awareness. My family was shocked when I told them that I was on a video and it was going to be on Facebook and all these other platforms. They're like, what? They were like, I cannot believe you did that. I'm like, I did, because I finally found someone who listened.
Well, there's just a couple of people seeing you. It's not like it's a lot of people. 28,000 last I looked.
That's great.
So I give you amazing, I think you're amazing. I think your strength and your determination, your guts, because social media, people are mean and rude. And I will say this about Lily Clinic's Facebook page, which has become something I never even thought would. I didn't even try to make it what it is. It just kind of happened. But the support that I see in the comments for you and for other people that are suffering is so heartwarming. It's almost like, and I'm kind of going away from everything, but it's kind of like humanity still is out there.
Yes.
And I feel like my opinion, the way I felt, just like we've lost part of humanity over the years. Mm-hmm. And I was scared to put, and I told you when I put your video up, I was going to stalk the comments and get rid of anybody that was being mean mm-hmm. or rude or anything. And I think after thousands of views of yours, I think I might have had to do 5 people.
Right.
It's crazy. Yeah. So people need this. They need the awareness that people are seeking information. They don't want to feel alone. And what you're doing is certainly helping with that effort. So I thank you so much for helping the larger community.
And I thank you for listening and caring and showing me the right path. This is what you need to do. So I thank you.
Well, thank you for being on Lily Pod episode 7, Miss Lippy, Michelle. I really appreciate you. So thank you.
Thanks for having me.